I love it. I love it. I love what you're doing. You're taking what you learned off the portal and you're kind of modifying it into a text message, yes?
Well, you told us to do power text.
Good. Okay. Well, I love it because you're doing what I said for you to do. Here's one thing that I would change. I love everything. So I'm just going to read. Can I read the text? Am I getting you in any trouble or anything? Can I say the name Jennifer?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Jennifer, you're putting in a ton of hours in a chaotic environment. You told me, perfect, I love that wording. You told me smarter marketing to generate referred clients and having strong support would help you sell more deals with far less stress. Does that sound right? Did I miss anything? Okay. Here's what I would change on this. By the way, you're fine if you change nothing. But here's what I would change. Instead of does that sound right, does that match what you need? Okay, and I know it's simple. Yeah, but because we want to talk about what she needs, right? So does that match what you need? Did I miss anything? The other suggestion I would make with this being a text, your second piece where you went in for the close, would it make sense to join us so we can help you reach 150K plus a year while working fewer hours, fewer than 50 hours a week? I would wait until you got a response from that text because it's a text, it's more conversational than an email, and it's more Mike just wrote this text, and we lose a lot, if not all of the power of, does that match what you needed? Did I miss anything? If we automatically in that text go to the next question. So break it up into two texts and then change, does that sound right, to does that match what you need, right? And you could even play around with it and just be like, does that match what you need? Yes. Did I miss anything? No, right? Like you could even split those up, but 6 and 1/2 dozen the other there.
That's great.
Yeah, and then your second, did you put your second one in the chat too, Mike?
Yeah, you want me to read it? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm listening a lot to your follow-up course. I've gone through it twice now, and I'm confused about when you're supposed to be adding value and insights and when you're not. So when I'm following up, so I have a main meeting with people where they come, I get all their pain, and then I present to them whatever, because you said blah blah blah. I'm gonna recommend this. I tell them what it is, and then they're like, "Wow, that's the best thing I ever heard of." And then I got a follow up, right?
Yeah.
So when I follow up, do I just leave a message like, "Hi, Jody, Mike Regan, founder of Elevate Real Estate, calling to see if it would make sense for you to join us so we can start taking a whole lot more money and a lot more time for your family and put
fewer headaches,
migraines on my mobile?" Or should I also be trying to bring a new kind of insight or a new kind of value in addition to that?
Great question, Mike. Okay, so I want it with the voicemail. I want it to you're real close, but since you've had that conversation, I just want to make sure that your tonality is super personal, right? Hey, Mike, Matt Easton over here at Easton University, as promised, calling to see if it makes sense to blank. In your case, as promised, calling to see if it makes sense for you to come over to us so we can help you break that 150,000 mark and stop having those headaches. Everything was in there. So to answer your question, if you're at the point where it's a closing question, she's seen everything. She was like, wow, this is the greatest thing. I need to think about it. I want to talk to my spouse. I need to meditate on it. I'm going to a psychic next week. All the cool stuff you hear, Mike, right? I want you to stay. I want you to buy a DeLorean, attach a flux capacitor to it, and just keep going back to 1955 until you get an answer. Or this happens. In your process.
So don't bring up different insights.
Correct. Because
the same question.
Correct. Until we get an answer for the question. And if the answer to the question, is no, you're going to be NSO, next step obsessed. Which if they answer no, Mike, not right now, what's your answer going to be, Mike?
Well, what's a good next step?
Bingo. And if she says I don't know, what's a good next step for me? Right? And then if she's like, listen, it's not going to happen. Let's say you get the worst of the worst of the worst of a shutdown, you're going to have your net outcome statement, your NOS, right? Hey, no problem. I will be here when you need to finally blow past that 150,000 goal and stop having those headaches so you can start enjoying your life more. Fair enough? And I know it's almost even hard to say that, but Mike, you have to understand that's what you're providing these people, right? You're providing people that are overworked, they're super stressed out, They hate what they're doing. They hate the people they're working with. They don't get the support. Should be easy for Mike. Why the hell is Mike on Easton University? I'll take a stab, right? Because even though Mike has greener pastures on Mike's side of town and offers better support, better compensation, what happens when I leave? I'm stressed. I got to walk away from a bunch of business. I have to essentially, and I don't want to say this to depress you, Mike, but in some ways start completely over from the bottom. That's where a net outcome statement is so important to you. The same way, and I can't think of a better analogy, but if somebody had a drinking problem, right? And we both know it's better to get on the other side of that drinking problem. Most people, I don't have a problem, I'm fine, I'm all set. A good therapist is not going to be like, no, you're not fine. You know, you need to do this. If you don't do this, you're going to die, because that person's going to slam the door in their face. We realize that this is a touchy subject. That's where, just like a good therapist with alcohol, go, hey, I totally understand, right? This is important for you. It's an important decision. Hey, I will be here when you want to get your life back on track and rekindle your relationship with your boys. Fair enough, right? And now that person's going to get out of that, have a couple beers and go, what the hell am I doing? Right? Like, I haven't talked to my son in 5 years. But the more we push when those stakes are high of risk, and Mike, I hate to say it, you're in a high risk position, as with a lot of us, right? A lot of us are selling some very sophisticated software that does very amazing things, right? Also, people get fired when they ask the company for, 400 grand for a new iteration of Salesforce or whatever it is, and it doesn't go well, right? So like, all of us need to be really calm, cool, and collected, even though we know our software, our solution, ourselves, in Mike's case, his business, with Sean, his snow removal attachments. We have to be cool, calm, and collected when they're shutting us down. So I want you to stay on as promised, calling to see if it makes sense, right? You can keep using that exact same line. Don't do it 3 times a day. You can do it once a week, right? Whatever your cadence is, Mike. And then if they just completely ghost you, maybe they're going to go into my sustainable pipeline after 60 or 90 days of that, because I'm not going to continue to burn gas on that one. But then maybe 4 months later, I call with a new idea, right? That's when I'd introduce the new idea. But what I don't want to do is, within a reasonable amount of time, if that plan, I don't see Kyle on here, and he's going to start charging me because he's the pilot, I'm not. If I'm on final, I'm staying on final. Flaps are up, engine's down, right? That until I feel those tires hit the tarmac, I'm going to stay on. I'm not, what does this button do, right? Oh, look over there. Like, I'm not going to do any of that. Great questions, Mike.
One quick follow-up. I know that you kind of count the checks and the emails separate and kind of have those on automatic, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
When you have those, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So when you have those statistics about 80% of sales close between the 5th and the 12th follow-up, when you're counting those follow-ups, is that mostly you're just counting the phone calls there?
Yes, I'm just counting phone calls, and maybe it's I need a better copywriter, but I'm just going to be honest with everybody on here, because I get bombarded, as do you guys, with all kinds of people from all kinds of nefarious corners of the earth saying, your emails suck, and if you fix this, you could generate $82 million. Maybe. What I found is I got to actually do the work and make the calls. So do I have texts that go out? Yup. Am I writing some of those texts? Absolutely. Full disclosure, are some of those texts coming from a platform? Yeah. Or do I write emails? Yup. Do I have emails on drip campaigns? That too. Okay. But I'm not tracking really any of that stuff. I'm tracking what I can control, and that's my phone calls that I make and my emails that I send. And I always send those same things at the same time, because if I can send an email, I can usually make that call too. So yeah, those numbers that I quoted are off of actual calls.